Hello and welcome everyone to July 2nd. It's a Thursday. Your day weather podcast today calls for typical early July weather. So typical that there really isn't a lot to talk about. We have a pretty good weekend coming up, and what I'm going to do is step you through the weekend because I know a lot of you will be starting your weekend tomorrow, making a 3-day weekend of it. And I know a lot of you want to get the boat out, get the camping gear, get out to the great outdoors here in the Rocky Mountain West and the High Plains. Temperatures are going to rebound through the weekend. Going to be pretty warm. We're not going to be breaking any records, but it's going to be July warm out there. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms are going to pick up some Friday and through the weekend for some of you. We'll show you where we think those thunderstorms are going to be, and we'll give you all of that in a detailed 4th of July weekend forecast. The upper level jet stream pattern still has that big trough that's been settling into the northern Rockies over the last several days, bringing again unseasonably cool weather and snow again. You know, there were 4 episodes of snow in the month of June in the Intermountain West, but nothing like that will happen because this starts to lift away. And as you can see, we've got high pressure and a ridge building here in the central part of the United States. And this is going to bring up that warmer air from the desert states as we go through today and as we go through the upcoming weekend. So speaking of the weekend, let's step through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you what the expected high temperatures are going to be across this region for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll take a look at the wind and we'll take a look at the precipitation. And you can see on Friday, 90-degree temperatures. Anywhere you see gray here, those are 90s. So there's going to be a lot of heat moving into the Colorado Front Range, western Kansas, western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming. And you can see the desert heat there getting really, really hot. But notice the yellow and the orange up in the high country. Temperatures in the high country will be warm, but if you want to escape the heat, head for the hills. So those are your Friday temperatures. Here are your Saturday temperatures, almost identical. Saturday's temperature is actually a couple of degrees cooler, but still very warm. And as we go forward into the day on Sunday, high temperatures are very similar, little cooler. And the reason they're a little cooler out here is that the thunderstorm activity will pick up, and we'll show you that here in a minute. Notice these temperatures down in Arizona, deserts of California, woohoo, really getting hot, and also getting really hot down into New Mexico. Now, as we talked about in yesterday's podcast, the heat that builds in the deserts, when it gets really, really hot for a long time, that actually is like a straw, drawing that subtropical moisture into the desert southwest, and that will eventually come northward. So it's going to be a warm weekend. If you want to escape the heat, head for the hills. Now, let's step you through the wind. What I'm showing you here is the forecasted wind gust Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this isn't showing you what the constant wind speeds are, but the wind gust is a good measure of what the winds are really going to be like. Now, anywhere you see blue, the winds are gusting into the 20s. Anywhere you see green, like up here, winds are gusting into the 30s. And where you see gray and white, well, your wind gusts are below 20 miles an hour. Now, for this part of the country, this is really not that very windy at all. Yes, you'll have some breeziness in the usual breezy areas, but these are fairly gentle winds for Friday. For Saturday, about the same, although notice for the Panhandle, Nebraska, Northeast Colorado, it is a little more breezy out there on the plains during the day Saturday. So maybe if you're going to Lake McConaughey, you're going to have a little bit more wind. But look at I-80 in Wyoming. That's almost no wind. That's amazing. So good news for those of you that don't like a lot of wind. Yes, there'll be a breeze, but nothing like the last couple of weekends when we've had to deal with some wind. Sunday's winds are about the same. Gusting into the 20s, a little bit breezy up here. Yellowstone Park starts to see a little bit more wind. Eastern Colorado, though, winds are generally light. Southerly wind flow into Kansas and into Nebraska here is typical. When you start to build up some heat, you get this southerly wind flow that starts to build up during the course of the day. So when it comes to the wind, it really is not going to be much of a factor. Now, let's take a look at those afternoon thunderstorms. Anywhere you see green or blue or yellow, that's your highest risk of thunderstorms. These gray areas also indicate where thunderstorms are going to be a possibility. This is by no means a measure of how much rain will fall. What this is really showing you is where the likelihood of a shower or thunderstorm could pop up. So these amounts you see shouldn't be taken too seriously. It just gives you an indication of where the best chance of thunderstorms will be. Notice, and this is a trend you're going to see throughout the weekend, is that this is the area that's going to be most active. The Front Range of Colorado and the Front Range of southern Wyoming, then back up into here into Yellowstone Park and the northern mountains of Wyoming and eastern Idaho. So as we get into Friday, after a quiet day today, afternoon showers and thunderstorms increase. Saturday, showers and thunderstorms again are in the same area. And this is because that moisture flow coming up from here is going to be directed this way. Up into Montana near the Wyoming line, up into Yellowstone Park area, that northern part of the park is where you're going to see thunderstorms. Notice not nearly as much thunderstorm activity from the central parts of Wyoming back into the Wasatch Front of Utah. Some activity, but not a lot. The western slope, the western side of the divide, going to be drier. That's Saturday. Here's Sunday. And again, you notice the thunderstorms are going to be along the Front Range, the Rockies, the I-25 corridor of Colorado, Wyoming, and New Mexico, and then points east from there is where a lot of the action is going to be. Western side of the divide, the air's drier, thunderstorm chances are going to be lower. So if you were to go back here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can see the similarities with each day. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have a great 4th of July weekend.